learned that 4 students at the University of Florida have tested positive. We know one was engaged in international travel, and we think 1 or 2 of the others had been in some of the more hot spots in U.S. like New York, but we're working on tracking down those details, and we'll get those out. And the university will be putting out information soon as well. We also had a death connected to an assisted living facility in Broward County. This is a 77-year-old male who had significant underlying medical problems. There's an investigation underway. The Department of Health sent a strike team last evening upon becoming aware of the individual's positive test result, and then worked through the night to check on every other member of the facilities. So all individuals at the facilities are isolated and are being evaluated. So Florida now has a total of 192 cases, 173 of which are residents of the state of Florida. So yesterday afternoon, the president and his team issued new guidance from the CDC, calling it kind of their 15-day plan. And so we really looked at that hard, internalized it to try to determine what best courses of action to take in Florida. One of the things we've noticed is the universities being with the spring break and the 2-week, a lot of students have just been congregating at the universities and going out and doing things there, and that's not something we want. If you look at that CDC guidance, I think the number one thing is, like, we don't want large crowds of people congregating right now. We want to have enough isolation so that the virus has more difficulty spreading throughout the community. And so with that in mind, we're going to take a number of steps today. First, I am recommending to the Board of Governors, who are going to talk to the university presidents, about going to remote learning for the rest of the spring semester at all Florida universities. And the goal of that is that the students not stay congregated on campus, but actually return home. We think that that'll be safer for everybody, and we think that the universities are equipped to be able to handle the remote learning. So they are going to be working on that today, and I think you can expect an announcement along those lines very soon. In terms of restaurants, we're going to do similar to what California did, where you have 50% capacity limitation. Seating needs to be staggered and limited to ensure that seated parties are separated by a distance of at least 6 feet. Of course, this virus is transmitted when you were within 6 feet of somebody. And so we are going to encourage people, consistent with the president's guidance, to utilize takeout and delivery services. We're also going to be requiring that the restaurants screen all employees and prohibit entry for employees that may have a positive response to any of the trigger questions in terms of health. Now, we did this. This is the floor for Florida for the foreseeable future. Was in contact with some of the mayors in South Florida, like Mayor Jimenez. I think you're going to see Miami probably go further than that. And we support the efforts that the locals are doing. I think this is a virus that is affecting the whole state, but I think it affects different communities differently. The response may not always be the same on every little thing. We have a number of counties that have not had a single case, and so I feel that this makes the most sense. It gives the flexibilities to locals to go further if they want to, but also recognizes that we do have some areas where we haven't seen this yet. Bars and nightclubs, effective 5 p.m. today, they're going to be suspended for 30 days in the state of Florida. I think you've seen a lot of things about people congregating at some of these things. We view that as something that could be problematic for spreading the virus. Stealth carriers, people who don't have symptoms but then are nevertheless passing along or have such mild symptoms, is something that really nobody has a handle on that. If they're not meeting in those big groups, then the chance of that being passed on is less. We've also seen issues related to spring break with some of the beaches. I worked with Miami Beach Mayor in Fort Lauderdale, supported their closures of some of their beaches because you were having big crowds congregate. We've seen some big crowds on the west coast of Florida, and I've had a chance to speak to mayors on both coasts today. What we're going to be doing is simply, for the statewide floor for beaches, is applying the CDC guidance of no group on a beach more than 10, and you have to have distance apart if you're going to be out there. So that'll apply statewide. Now, different localities are going to make decisions about what makes sense, but having talked to mayors, it's certainly not uniform throughout the state that you're seeing massive crowds at beaches. Some of them are, residents and families in small groups. So if that is done properly spaced and they want to continue to do that, we want them to have the freedom to do it, but also have the freedom to do more if they see fit. So we are, I think yesterday's press conference from the White House and the guidance, I think they really want to see a lot of action over the next 15 days. So I think some of the steps we're taking will really help reduce density, reduce crowds. And I think that's probably the best thing that we can do at this point. This is a situation where we know the folks who are the most vulnerable for it, and we know a lot of folks are taking precautions. Obviously, we've done a lot to try to help with that, but you have a lot of the younger folks who really are going to be key to this, and so it's our hope that these new restrictions will reduce the ability of folks to congregate in large numbers. And so we're trying to heed the president's call. We will have more for you very shortly because we're working on issue after issue pretty much around the clock. So I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.
Hey, Governor, can you clarify the closures?
JB Buno here with you live, everybody. That was the governor's press conference. We have learned more. We want to let you know that on the right side of your screen here, this is live from Eagle 8 HD. This is a live feed from our chopper that is in the sky right now, giving us a look at the beaches. Governor DeSantis has talked about the beaches in the past 2 days, a little bit of a different message today. The latest on our beaches, no groups of more than 10 can congregate together on the beach. And again, preaching social distancing, keeping at least 6 feet away from your group to the next group, making sure that people aren't congregating too closely together. But my goodness, look here at this picture from, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to ask our team here where Eagle 8 HD is momentarily. We're going to have somebody kind of provide us on an exact location of where Eagle 8 HD. They've been going up and down the beaches here, everybody, but this is a live feed that we're following here. You might have seen the video yesterday from Clearwater Beach. It was a massive amount of people getting together there on the beach. Of course, it's spring break here in Florida, and that video was met with a lot of different responses. Many folks out there felt that it was wrong to be doing this when we are dealing with this pandemic, and then there are other people out there who feel like if you're practicing social distancing and keeping a safe distance between yourself and others, that you should be allowed to go to the beaches if they're open. If the mayor of Clearwater Beach doesn't want to close the beaches, or if St. Pete Beach remains open, then by all means, it's the rights of everybody to go out there and use those beaches. That's the feeling of some out there online. It's obviously struck a chord here in the state of Florida because our beaches are so beloved. Here you see some folks that are keeping a reasonable distance away from one another. And if you look here, if you kind of just get an idea of what we're looking at here, everybody. I mean, we do see a reasonable distance between a lot of the umbrellas and chairs that are being set up. But again, the new rule that was just put into effect, no groups of 10 or more together at the beach. That's going to be obviously very difficult to enforce, but no groups of more than 10, and practicing social distancing, keeping your group away from other groups by at least 6 feet. Let's bring in WFLA Plus's Daisy Ruth here, everybody. Again, we'll keep this feed up here in the center of your screen, and we'll be checking in with it momentarily. Eagle 8 HD is going to be continuing to go up and down our beaches over the course of the next half hour, and we'll be live with you here on WFLA Now to bring you the very latest. Daisy, do we get a location on where Eagle 8 HD is at the moment?
Yes, this is Siesta Key.
Siesta Key.
Down in Sarasota, yes.
Okay, so down in Sarasota today, a little bit different from yesterday. I'd be very curious to see how things are looking in Clearwater Beach after the video. I think 12 million views on WFLA's Twitter page as of this morning, somewhere in that neighborhood. It obviously got shared quite a bit because there are people who are practicing self-isolation, especially in a lot of states that are dealing with more positive tests than we are right now elsewhere in the country. And then meanwhile, down here in the state of Florida, we have massive crowds going to the beaches. There was also a large contingency of people out there that were very vocal, that feeling that most of the crowd that was there was not Florida residents, that these were people coming from out of state, that these were tourists coming in. So we have no way really of knowing when we're looking down at the beaches whether or not this is a primarily Florida residents or whether or not they're tourists. We don't have the ability to poll everybody, but still it has obviously got a lot of people very, very concerned. Meanwhile, 4 University of Florida students, you see there on the bottom of your screen, have tested positive for COVID-19. 192 cases total. There were other announcements there, Daisy, in that press conference.
Yes, I am going to have to check the number and see if this was announced yesterday, but I believe this is something new from Governor Ron DeSantis today. There was a death associated with an assisted living facility in Broward County. We know that Broward has quite a few cases. That was a 77-year-old man, according to the governor, with he said, numerous underlying medical problems. He mentioned about students congregating at universities during spring break, as we saw possibly with UF and those 4 students. He is recommending that schools, universities go to remote learning for the rest of the semester. He mentioned there might possibly be an announcement on that today. He also went on to say, we heard this from both Mayor Jane Castor and Mayor Rick Kreisman yesterday, but this is now coming from the governor statewide. All Florida residents are to operate at 50% of their maximum capacity. Staggered seating and takeout and delivery are encouraged. Restaurants are to screen all employees. He mentioned, the big thing that he mentioned is bars and nightclubs are suspended, so closed for 30 days as of 5 p.m.
That's major news here for the state of Florida, everybody. I mean, we've been talking about what kind of preventative measures were going to be put into effect here in the state of Florida, and Governor DeSantis suspending business for bars and nightclubs as of 5 o'clock for 30 days. So everyone out there who thinks that there's a chance that this might be going away soon in the next couple of weeks if the curve starts to flatten, these 30-day bans that we're seeing, or 30-day rules being put into effect, I mean, we're talking about at the earliest April 17th or April 18th for that one particular rule to be lifted. So
if it doesn't get extended.
If it doesn't get extended. We were talking yesterday here on WFLA Now about the odds that public schools are closed until March 30th. But the way that things are going right now, it is very possible that they are going to be extending that even into April. So so much happening in real time, everybody. We're trying to provide you with the latest information and making sure that you're up to date with everything that's going on. Meanwhile, Eagle 8 HD here.
Business is still
Siesta
operating.
Key.
You see the parasailing, I believe, is what that is. Beach business is still operating. Siesta Key.
It's a lot of people. Now, this wasn't as dense as yesterday
yes.
in Clearwater Beach when we saw all the crowds huddled together in Clearwater Beach. If you speak to folks in Clearwater Beach, they will tell you that this time of year, they are known for having an influx of tourists, out-of-state visitors, international visitors who come to our world-renowned beaches that are celebrated for their white sand, crystal clear water, and of course, unbelievable weather this time of year. While most of the country is dealing with colder temperatures, down here in Florida, you can, of course, get in your bathing suit, go to the beach, get in the water, and soak in some rays of sunshine. The beaches remain open. But now we know that the governor has began a dialogue with the various mayors in these coastal communities, making sure that they are in the know, staying in contact with the governor's office regarding how they're going to approach the beaches, because I think it's pretty clear based on the governor's press conference a short time ago that he saw our video when Eagle 8 HD flew over Clearwater Beach yesterday. And it's a video. How many views are we up to? 13 million?
Oh, I'm sure it's up to 13 million as of us speaking right now.
Look at this. Let's again full screen. Let's check it out here, everybody. This is live from Eagle 8 HD. Again, not as dense as yesterday in Clearwater Beach, but here in Siesta Key, still a lot of people. This is thousands of people that are here together in Siesta Key. Now, it's hard to say whether or not this is more separated than your normal beach crowd. I mean, I think we would have to do side-by-side comparisons to say that people are taking more preventative measures and practicing social distancing. But look on the left side of your screen.
I was just about to mention that, JB. Got a lot of space on
Stragglers.
Siesta Key.
Stragglers, yeah, people that are laying out their beaches and laying out their chairs or their umbrellas, putting up their umbrellas, and they're doing it away, a large distance away from people. And this is some of the things we were talking about yesterday about common sense, right, Daisy? That people can go to the beach with common sense, and if there's enough space, like here in Siesta Key, to
Got a
kind
lot
of
of folks in the back there too.
yeah. Oh, look at all the way up in the top left-hand corner. See everybody that not even that close to the water itself, but keeping a safe distance between themselves and their neighbors. Now, I would have to see again a side-by-side comparison. What do you guys think? Use the hashtags HeyJB, hashtag HeyDaisy. I want to read some of your comments. Is this okay? In your opinion, is this okay with a pandemic going on? Remember, the death count is climbing. The case count is climbing. But the beaches are open. And here in Siesta Key, it would appear that people are keeping a reasonable amount of space between them and their neighbors, practicing social distancing. But see the people on the right side of your screen that are walking up and down the beach? You're always going to get close when you pass somebody, and all it takes is one person coughing in the face of somebody else to pass it from one to the other if there is somebody down here with COVID-19. We don't know that, of course, but you can lay out a blanket or a pair of beach chairs and keep yourself away from people, but it's the areas where people are moving around a lot near the water that I think is probably of the most concern as far as close proximity to others. But as of now, the new rules have been put into place. These beaches are to remain open. No groups of more than 10 are supposed to be together at the beach, and the governor is saying you have to practice social distancing. Social distancing is so key here at the beaches in Siesta Key and elsewhere across the state of Florida.
Just a quick update on Clearwater Beach, JB. I know we are looking at Siesta Key, but it just came down today that the Pier 60 Bait House and the Pier 60 Fishing Pier are both closing. The Bait House is closed and the Pier 60 Fishing Pier is closing at 10 p.m. tonight and staying closed. These closings will remain in effect until further notice. That doesn't go for the entirety of Clearwater Beach, but I believe I have seen somewhere in social media or our emails that there is a meeting, a city meeting today that could decide the fate of Clearwater Beach.
Wow. So, again, as the governor announced yesterday, for those of you who missed the governor's press conference yesterday, it is going to be up to the individual municipalities on whether or not to close these individual beaches. Of course, Florida having so much coast. I mean, we're talking about all the way up from the Panhandle, all the way around the peninsula up to Jacksonville. Florida is virtually one big beach. It really is. And when we're talking about closing the beaches, it's not something that's being done at a statewide level. The governor is communicating with individual beach municipal leaders to determine whether or not beaches should be closed. We now know via the press conference that those conversations have begun and they will continue. Again, yesterday's video was from Clearwater Beach where things were way more dense. Here, it looks to me, and I would think you would agree, right, Daisy, that this is a little bit more spread out? A little more spread out here in Siesta Key?
A lot of folks more towards the back of the beach, not up close to the water, because that's really where everybody wants to be on a normal beach day when we're not experiencing a pandemic. You want to be close to the water, and sometimes it's annoying when someone's a little close to you, but now at this point in where we are in the world, it's not just annoying, it's potentially dangerous.
Elena Johnson. All right, let's read some hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyDaisy comments here in the Facebook Live comment section. Elena Johnson, hashtag HeyJB. All the beaches need to be closed down. That's what Elena is saying in the Facebook Live comment section. Thomas Burgess is asking about voting centers. Yeah, hey, polls are open for the Democratic presidential primary, everybody, here in the state of Florida. A lot of delegates up for grabs between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. It is a big day here in Florida, and I know that we're following everything that's going on with COVID-19. We also have, of course, politically what's going on here with the Florida primary.
great, because we'd love to see Clearwater again. Clearwater?
We're going to Pinellas Beach next? How long will Eagle?
That would take like 10 minutes.
Okay, great.
Okay, cool.
All right, so we're going to send Eagle HD, everybody, to Pinellas County. And we're going to take you back to the beaches
Clearwater Beach
that we saw yesterday. So that is going to be very, very interesting. Here we are in Siesta Key right now. We're going to go up to Pinellas County's beaches,
these folks
St.
are
Pete
even
Beach,
farther
Clearwater
apart.
Beach. What was that?
These folks are even farther apart, farther down the beach.
So you can, and I think this is what the governor was talking about that still visiting Florida beaches and using, of course, the large geography that we have here, everybody, with the amount of beach real estate that we have here in the state, taking advantage of that and spreading out and using social distancing. Now, when you see the video from Clearwater Beach that has 13 million views on Twitter from yesterday, when everyone huddled together and not on top of each other, but from the sky, from the aerial view, it looks like a lot of people huddled very closely together. That, I think, is of more concern than what you just saw 30 seconds ago with people separating themselves by 20, 30 feet and just getting in some sun and getting their feet in the sand and just enjoying a day at one of our beautiful beaches. But hey, the opinions have been widely left and right all over the place on Facebook and Twitter. And there is now a large vocal group out there of people that want to see our beaches closed. Scotty in the comment section, Gengir, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Scotty, you got to forgive me if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. #HJB, how does the governor want bar and nightclub employees to make money?
That was my first
and
thought.
Pay rent or mortgage for the next 30 to 60 days?
It's a necessary thing, but then you think of all these folks affected, and it stinks for those people. You feel for them.
You do. You think of this, we're talking tens of thousands of people across the state now. I mean, if we were talking about Tampa Bay, that's one thing. We're talking about the entire state of Florida. We're talking about tens of thousands of people here who are employed in the bar or nightclub industry, whether or not it's Pensacola, Gainesville, Jacksonville, Miami, South Beach, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale, all of these hubs of activity, especially this time of year for spring break.
Yes.
This is the time of year where people are going to bars, whether it's on the beach or whether it's more in, an urban locale. People are going to bars. They're off. They're celebrating. But at the same time, people aren't going to bars and nightclubs right now because of the pandemic. So the point I was trying to make is that if you're somebody who works, if you're a server, let's say at a bar, or let's say you're a bartender, and you've been at that same bar for several years, right? You know, and I know because I've been in the restaurant industry. You know to expect that month you're going to get a little bit more cash than you normally would because of the influx of tourists that we have for spring break. You plan for it at times if you have to. If you're in a place where financially you go with the ebbs and the flows. Some months are a little bit less busy, some are more busy. And I think that if you spoke to people regarding spring break here in Florida, these bartenders and servers and such, they expect that tip money over these next 2 weeks. It's a big part of paying the bills and paying the rent and paying the mortgage. And you're right, Daisy. You feel for those people. You feel for those people that now have to make really difficult decisions. And what are the business owners going to do?
Right. And even restaurants, JB, once again, we heard from Mayors Castor and Kreisman here in Tampa Bay yesterday, but now Governor DeSantis has made it statewide. All Florida residents will operate at 50% of their maximum capacity, and seating will be staggered. And he's really recommending, the governor is recommending utilizing takeout or delivery, which I was thinking about that this morning, actually. JB, I know we're all I know my boyfriend and I are stocked up on groceries in both of our apartments, so we're pretty good. But then you think about people like these local businesses that you could still utilize delivery or takeout. Maybe if these delivery drivers to even protect them, to say, hey, just leave it outside my door,
That's
not
right.
okay.
It becomes
and still support.
It becomes an adapt to survive type of mentality right now, that if you can't make money by bringing people into your business, you're going to have to make money by providing your service, your food, whatever you produce, providing it to people where they are. And right now, where they are, people are home. Or at the beaches, apparently. We're going to be right back here on WFLA Now from Pinellas County, everybody. We're starting a new Facebook live stream. If you're on WFLA.com or the WFLA app, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.